Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. Today we're going to be checking out the Colamy Atlas Ergonomic office chair. Shout out to Colamy for sponsoring this video and sending out this chair for me to check out. So this is an office chair with the back being made out of mesh and the seat being made out of fabric. Currently it's retailing on Colamy's website for around $360 USD. There are two different colorways to the Atlas. You can either get this in a gray color or you can get it in a light gray. The chair itself comes in a very large box, and as you can see, everything is packaged quite nicely, with the individual parts being wrapped in a plastic wrap as well as a bunch of styrofoam to make sure that nothing gets damaged during shipping. So very solid packaging here just to make sure that everything comes in one piece. Underneath that first layer of styrofoam with the armrest, you're going to be getting the rest of the chair as well, alongside provided screws, a user manual showing you how to assemble the chair itself, and a nice little Allen key, which is all you need in order to assemble this chair, which is really nice. So you don't have to use any of your own tools at all. Everything that you need to assemble the chair itself is provided in the box. So assembling the chair was relatively easy. It took me only around 15 to 20 minutes and I did it completely alone. It is nice to have another person with you when you're screwing in the armrests. Just to have somebody lifting it up for you while you screw it in is nice, but if you don't have anybody available, it is possible to assemble it by yourself. And overall, it was very easy. There's literally only like 6 or 7 steps that you need to follow. So the entire process of actually putting together the chair was relatively straightforward. And everything is labeled very clearly as well. As you can see, there's clearly labeled steps for each little bag so that you know where each screw is supposed to go. So here's the chair all assembled. Overall, I think it's a very aesthetically pleasing chair. Looks very nice. As for the overall build quality and the materials used for the chair, this is a heavy duty metal and aluminum frame with a mesh back as well as a dense foam seat. There's metal where you would want metal, for example, on the armrests as well as the actual legs of the chair. And when actually using the chair, there's no noticeable rattling or squeaking when adjusting any of the parts, which is nice to see because some chairs actually make noise as you either adjust the height or the tilt. The Atlas here doesn't have any of that. Overall, the build quality seems super solid and it has quite a bit of weight to it as well, so it feels like a very solid chair. I love the fact that the back here is mesh. Mesh just allows for your chair to be a lot more breathable. This is great, especially in humid and hot weather. For example, in the summer, mesh material just allows for a lot more airflow, meaning that you won't get as hot in your seat. The seat here is made out of fabric, so the downside of that compared to mesh is that it's not as breathable, but I do find that fabric is a lot softer than mesh to sit on, and it's a lot more comfortable, so really just comes down to your personal preference at the end of the day. The fabric seat on the Atlas here is quite firm, but it does have a little bit of plushness, but it is definitely on that firmer side, so if you like your seat a little bit more firm, then this is perfect for you. As for the ergonomic adjustments on this chair, there are several. You have, of course, your seat height adjustment, which is on the right side of the chair. On the right side of the chair, you also have a tilt tension knob, which will change how easy it is for you to actually lean back in the chair. And you have a tilt lock here as well, which you can lock in 4 different positions depending on how leaned back you want your chair to be. On the left side of the chair, you actually have a slide out seat depth knob. This basically lets you change the depth of the seat, and you can lock this as well. So if you pull out, that will actually unlock it, and then if you push in, that will lock it. So you can change how far out your seat is from the back of the chair, which is perfect for adjusting the chair to fit perfectly to your body. The Atlas comes with 4D armrests, meaning that you have swivel, so you can swivel it in or out. You also can move it forward and backwards. And of course, you can adjust the height on the armrest like you can with any other chair. You can also move the armrest side to side horizontally as well. So that's super cool. You can really adjust this armrest however you want and dial it in specifically for your needs. The Atlas also comes with a nice mesh headrest. This also has a little plastic cover that you can use to cover up the screws, which I found was a nice little touch just to enhance the aesthetic of the chair so that you don't see any of those screws at the back of the headrest. The headrest itself is, again, this mesh material, which means that it's very breathable. And with the headrest, you can change the angle of it, and you can also move it up and down. Instead of using a traditional button on the headrest, how it works is that you can pull it up a little bit and it will automatically lock into place. And if you want to fully reset the headrest, you just pull it all the way up and it will slide back down to the bottom. And finally, for adjustments on the back of the chair, you also have a lumbar support, which you can slide up and down. So this is just a plastic piece here on the back of the chair. There is no padding on it, but it's just a little plastic piece that you can slide up and down to support the lumbar position on your back. I am 5'9" and this chair is really quite comfortable to sit in. I like the fact that the back of the chair actually keeps me upright, which is actually something that I look for whenever I'm trying out chairs, is that the back stays completely straight, because that's how I actually prefer sitting when I am at my computer. But the maximum weight recommendation for the Atlas is 300 pounds, so if you do weigh over 300 pounds, you might want to look into a different chair. But yeah guys, here I am using the chair in a Valorant deathmatch, and I've always recommended that you get an office chair for gaming. When I first got my setup, I actually had one of those gaming chairs, and that was probably one of the worst purchases I've ever made. I highly recommend staying away from gaming chairs, even the expensive ones, because honestly they are overpriced for what they are, and they're not very comfortable either, especially when compared to a solid ergonomic office chair. So that's why I always recommend grabbing an ergonomic office chair like the Atlas here, because it will just be a lot more comfortable to sit in, and it will just be a lot more ergonomic for your body when compared to gaming chairs. So obviously having a good chair is really important for your seating posture and just your overall health, but it also affects how you aim. For example, when playing competitive shooters, your seating position actually matters a lot and will affect how you actually aim in game. You want your shoulders and elbows to sort of be around 90 degrees, and you also want the top of your monitor to be aligned with your eyes for the optimal seating position. If you're curious, you can just go to Google and Google the optimal seating position for gaming and follow some of those guides. But yeah, your seating posture and position can actually affect how you aim in game. I actually found that I started aiming a lot more consistently when I switched from a gaming chair over to an office chair, and I also found that my aim got significantly better when I actually lowered my desk to the appropriate height to where my shoulders and elbows were around that 90 degrees. So not only did my aim improve, but also my posture overall improved, which helped reduce a lot of the tension that I had on my shoulder as well, which will probably be beneficial for me long term in terms of my health for my overall body. So obviously there's a lot more expensive chairs out there. At $360 USD, I'd say the Colamy Atlas is definitely worth looking into if you're looking for a solid option for an ergonomic office chair. The only things to look out for is if you're not a fan of fabric seats because you want more airflow, especially if you're living somewhere with hot weather, you might want to look into a chair with a mesh seat instead. But yeah guys, if you're budget conscious but you want a premium ergonomic seating experience, the Colamy Atlas is a standout. There's lots of adjustability, it has a solid build quality, good airflow on the back with a very comfortable seating experience. But you will have to break in the seat a little bit because it does come pretty firm out of the box. So over time, I would imagine that the seat will get a little bit more soft and easier to sit on. So if you guys are interested in checking out the Atlas or any of other Colamy's chairs, I will leave a link to their website in the description below, as well as a link to the Atlas itself. But that's pretty much it guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if it helped you out, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.